News-Leader.com. Please stay tuned as our broadcast will start soon. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe on our YouTube channel now. At Blind Community Thrift Store on YouTube, and more info about this radio reading service, Navalins, and the Blind Community Thrift Store at www.blindcommunitythriftstore.com. The Blind Community Thrift Store radio reading service will begin shortly. We will be reading local news from around the Southwest Missouri area, Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. on YouTube, KSMU, and on the Audio Reader Network at Kansas University. For more information, please visit us at www.blindcommunitythriftstore.com. Please stay tuned as our broadcast will start soon. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe on our YouTube channel now. At Blind Community Thrift Store on YouTube, and more info about this radio reading service, Navalins, and the Blind Community Thrift Store at www.blindcommunitythriftstore.com. The Blind Community Thrift Store radio reading service will begin shortly. We will be reading local news from around the Southwest Missouri area, Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. on YouTube, KSMU, and on the Audio Reader Network at Kansas University. For more information, please visit us at www.blindcommunitythriftstore.com. Please stay tuned as our broadcast will start soon. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe on our YouTube channel now. At Blind Community Thrift Store on YouTube, and more info about this radio reading service, Navalins, and the Blind Community Thrift Store at www.blindcommunitythriftstore.com. The Blind Community Thrift Store radio reading service will begin shortly. We will be reading local news from around the Southwest Missouri area, Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. on YouTube, KSMU, and on the Audio Reader Network at Kansas University. For more information, please visit us at www.blindcommunitythriftstore.com. Please stay tuned as our broadcast will start soon. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe on our YouTube channel now. At Blind Community Thrift Store on YouTube, and more info about this radio reading service, Navalins, and the Blind Community Thrift Store at www.blindcommunitythriftstore.com. The Blind Community Thrift Store radio reading service will begin shortly. We will be reading local news from around the Southwest Missouri area, Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. on YouTube, KSMU, and on the Audio Reader Network at Kansas University. For more information, please visit us at www.blindcommunitythriftstore.com. Please stay tuned as our broadcast will start soon. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe on our YouTube channel now. At Blind Community Thrift Store on YouTube, and more info about this radio reading service, Navalins, and the Blind Community Thrift Store at www.blindcommunitythriftstore.com.
Quarterback out?
Yeah, and backup quarterback out. Oh, I thought Oladokin did a pretty good job.
They did.
Yeah, I was impressed with him.
Dang it, Broncos.
Huh, right?
It is what it is, you know.
I got 958.
No, mine was 959. Pretty close.
The time is 10 a.m.
Go.
Thank you for tuning into the Blind Community Thrift Store radio reading service. My name is Michael, and I'm here with Kelly. And we invite you to listen to our broadcasts both live and on demand. Our live sessions are available on the Blind Community Thrift Store YouTube channel Monday through Friday between 10 a.m. and 12 p.m. each week. Additionally, you can access on-demand content through the Audio Reader Network, which offers a wide range of audio materials for the visually impaired community. To explore content from the Audio Reader Network, please visit www.reader.ku.edu. The site provides details about accessing content via Amazon Alexa, Audio Reader Network mobile app, and information on receiving a radio to listen to the broadcast by KSMU Radio. All broadcasts are played over KSMU's subcarrier airwaves at 67 kilohertz on 91.1 from 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. Monday through Friday. Contact Audio Reader Network for information on receiving a pre-programmed radio.
All right, we'll jump right in. This is an article from the Springfield News-Leader posted today, December 26, 2025. About Missouri courts appear likely to weigh in on gerrymandered map. After Missouri lawmakers passed a gerrymandered congressional map this fall, opponents submitted more than 300,000 signatures seeking to force a statewide vote on whether to overturn the map. But Republican state officials say they will use the map in the meantime. Missouri courts now appear likely to weigh in. If we need to continue to litigate to enforce our constitutional rights, we will, said Richard Von Glan, a progressive activist who leads People Not Politicians, which is leading the campaign opposing the gerrymandered map. As some states engage in an extraordinary redraw of congressional districts ahead of the 2026 midterm elections, state courts may decide the fate of the new maps. President Donald Trump has pushed Republican state lawmakers to gerrymander their state's congressional maps, prompting Democratic state lawmakers to respond in kind. Nationwide, state judges are poised to play a pivotal role in adjudicating legal challenges to the maps, which have been drafted to maximize partisan advantage for either Republicans or Democrats, depending on the state. Maps are typically only redrawn once a decade following the census. While some state courts have long heard map-related lawsuits, the U.S. Supreme Court has all but taken federal courts out of the business of reviewing redrawn maps this year. On December 4th, a majority of the court allowed Texas' new map, which seeks to secure 5 more U.S. House seats for Republicans, to proceed. A federal lawsuit against California's new gerrymandered map, drawn to favor Democrats, hasn't reached the High Court. The U.S. Supreme Court's brief, unsigned majority decision voiced concerns about inserting federal courts into an active primary campaign, though Texas's primary election will occur in March. Critics of the court's decision have said it effectively forecloses federal challenges to this year's gerrymanders. The justices could also issue a decision next year that makes it more difficult to challenge maps as racially discriminatory. State courts are taking center stage after gerrymandering opponents have spent decades encouraging them to play a more active role in policing maps that had been drawn for partisan advantage. Those efforts accelerated after the U.S. Supreme Court in 2019 limited the powers of federal courts to block such maps. Basically, every one of the 50 states has something in its constitution that could be used to constrain partisan gerrymandering, said Samuel Wang, director of the Princeton Gerrymandering Project. State constitutions, which are interpreted by state Supreme Courts, typically have language that echoes the right to freedom of speech and association found in the First Amendment of the U.S. Constitution, Wang said. They also include a right to equal protection under the law similar to the 14th Amendment. Some state constitutions guarantee free and fair elections, language that doesn't appear in the U.S. Constitution. 30 states have some form of a constitutional requirement for free elections, according to the National Conference of State Legislatures. At least 10 state Supreme Courts have found that the state courts can decide cases involving allegations of partisan gerrymandering, according to a 2024 review by the State Democracy Research Initiative at the University of Wisconsin Law School. So far this year, California, Missouri, North Carolina, Ohio, Texas, and Utah have adopted new congressional maps. New maps also appear possible in Florida, Maryland, and Virginia. A handful of other states, Alabama, Louisiana, New York, and North Dakota, may have to change their maps depending on the outcome of court cases. Some of those new or potential maps could face legal obstacles. Florida, New York, and Ohio all have state Supreme Courts that have previously found problems with partisan gerrymanders. Maryland Democrats have so far not moved forward with a gerrymander, in part because of fears of an adverse decision from the state Supreme Court. 4 state Supreme Courts, including Missouri, have determined that they cannot review partisan gerrymandering claims, though state courts may still consider challenges on other grounds, such as whether the districts are compact or contiguous. In Missouri's case, courts could also clear the way for a referendum vote over the new map, which is intended to force out U.S. Representative Emanuel Cleaver, a Democrat who has represented Kansas City in Congress for the past 2 decades. Republicans currently hold 6 of the state's 8 congressional districts. The map already faces a bevy of lawsuits, most notably over whether state officials must count some 103,000 referendum signatures gathered before the governor signed the map into law. At least 106,000 signatures are needed to send the map to voters. Opponents of the new map have also filed lawsuits asserting the Missouri Constitution prevents redistricting without new census data and that an area of Kansas City was simultaneously placed into 2 separate congressional districts. The Missouri Republican Secretary of State Denny Hoskins' decision this month, relying on an opinion from Missouri Republican Attorney General Catherine Hanaway to implement the new congressional map despite a submitted referendum petition, is expected to become the latest legal flashpoint. Opponents of the map argue it is now paused under state law. Hoskins' spokesperson Rachel Dunn said in a statement to Stateline that local election officials have until late July to verify referendum signatures, months after candidate filing ends on March 31st and days before the August 4th primary election. At that point, blocking the new map would be all but impossible, even if the map opponents have gathered enough signatures to force a vote. Once signatures are all verified, the Secretary will certify the referendum based on constitutionality and verification, Dunn wrote. Hanaway's office did not respond to questions.
These are the obituaries from the Springfield News-Leader. Robert Alney Sherman, age 103, from Springfield, Virginia, passed away peacefully on December 20th, 2025 at the age of 103. A private family memorial will be held at the Naval Academy. James Edmund Freeman, from Springfield, 84, passed away December 2nd, 2025. Arrangements provided by Midwest Cremation and Funeral Services on January 18th, 2 p.m. at Crossway. Nancy J. Keller, 76 of St. Louis, Missouri, passed away peacefully in her home with her family by her side. She was preceded in death by her beloved husband, Hans Keller, mother Velma Christman, and father David Christman and her sisters. Sam Phillips, age 70, of Columbia, Missouri, passed away on December 16, 2025 at University Hospital in Columbia, Missouri. Sam was born on November 14, 1955 in Boonville, Missouri. Mark Gregory Thiem, age 67, passed away on December 18, 2025 at age 67. He was a loving father and grandfather, a devoted husband, a caring brother, and a devout Christian in his faith. These are the holidays for today, Friday, December 26, 2025. Boxing Day, also known as St. Stephen's Day and Second Christmas Day. National Candy Cane Day. National Thank You Note Day. And finally, National Winers Day. Maybe if you didn't get what you wanted for Christmas. And this comes to us from the Springfield Daily Citizen from Poking Around. New homeowner says bright light from nearby Arby's is like a full moon times 2. Homeowner and Arby's franchise owner don't see eye to eye, but owner says he will put up shields to help block the light. It looks like he did so Tuesday morning, December 23rd. By Steve Pokin. You've got your new moon, your super moon, your harvest moon, and Keone Rogers of Springfield says he has his Arby's moon. Rogers, 40, contacted me to complain that his neighbor, the Arby's at 2225 South Campbell Avenue, had turned night into day at his home. He is convinced that a few weeks ago, management increased the brightness of the lights in the parking lot. The light stations stand tall on the other side of the wood fence separating commercial from residential. William E. Gilbert III, the Arby's franchise owner, tells me he doesn't think there's a lighting problem. In fact, the light is dimmer than he would prefer, but he nevertheless is in the process of putting shields on the lights. I want to be a good neighbor, and I'm waiting on the estimate to come back on how much it's going to cost for those little shields to maybe help keep the light from shining over his yard, Gilbert said on Monday. The next morning, Tuesday, December 23rd, it appeared that Gilbert was making sure that was being done. A worker appeared to be adjusting the lights. Gilbert owns 4 other Arby's in Springfield. Rogers bought the house, built in 1942, with girlfriend Mackenzie Oliver in September. It's their first house. They knew about the Arby's, they knew about the lights, but the lights got a lot brighter about 3 weeks ago, he says. Rogers took note of the day when someone came by and worked on the lights. He believes they were upgraded and made brighter. I thought, okay, maybe the yard's going to be a little bit brighter. Maybe we can deal with it, right? But the next night, it was like a full moon times 2. We've got to do something about it. According to Oliver, the only thing that I would have to say is not getting enough sleep has definitely affected my studying. She's hitting the books to become a real estate agent. Gilbert tells me that Roger's version of the events is not exactly accurate. We had a light bulb out, so we replaced it, he says. No, it's the exact same time as it was. What has been most upsetting, Rogers tells me, is how little communication he got from Gilbert. The frustrating part is promising that somebody will be in contact with you and then never contacting me, Rogers tells me. If I had been able to speak with somebody and reach a compromise, I would not have been angry, he says. Instead, he says he was bounced back and forth between corporate Arby's and Gilbert. I don't know how else I'm supposed to react when I have no idea what's going on over there, if anybody cares enough. I have no idea if they're doing something about it. I'm in the dark. Figuratively, of course. Rogers said he spoke to Gilbert just once. It was on the phone, and from Rogers' perspective, it did not go well. He said Gilbert told him the lights in the Arby's on South Campbell had been up for some 20 years, and he offered to buy Rogers some blackout curtains. I told him that's not the point, Rogers says. The point is that you're violating the light ordinance, and you're affecting our sleep. I asked Rogers, how do you know he's violating the light ordinance? Rogers tells me it's because he's read the city's light ordinance. He sent me a link to it. Still, I have no idea if the lights are in violation because the light ordinance sets limits that are based on brightness and is measured in foot candles. The ordinance says maximum permitted illumination, 1/2 foot candle at any point along the perimeter of the property where it adjoins a residential district or is separated from a residential zoning district by a right-of-way of 70 feet or less. Rogers has not measured the amount of light, and neither have I. We've had those lights for 20 years, and this is the first complaint we've ever had, Gilbert tells me. Rogers complained to the city December 9th, and an inspector was scheduled to take a look at the night on Friday, December 19th. Cora Scott, spokesperson for the city, sent me an email. The inspector will measure the amount of light affecting the Silsby address to see if the business is in violation. He will offer suggestions on how to fix the issue, like angling the lights at a slightly different direction. But Martin Gould says the city's director of building development services told me Tuesday, December 23rd, the city had not yet been out to the Arby's to measure the brightness. At this point, it appears as if your problem may have been abated. What I do know is that Rogers' yard and deck prior to Tuesday were lit up at night. Clearly, you could play cornhole in his yard 24/7 if you wanted. You could go out on the deck at 3 a.m. and read a book by the light of the Arby's parking lot. 2 things changed right after Rogers complained. The parking lot lights were no longer on 24/7. The store turns them off around 11:30 when the store closes. I still have a little safety concern because of my employees don't get out of there until 11:30, Gilbert tells me. We put a bunch of cameras and stuff back there because we had some non-desirable stuff going on. The second thing that changed was that Rogers bought blackout curtains for the bedroom, which faces the Arby's parking lot. He needs them. I did something I've never done before in my reporting career. I asked a source to take me to the bedroom, turn off the lights, and close the door. I took a photo of him standing by the window. It looks like he's talking to God. Rogers doesn't know if any of his neighbors have complained about the Arby's lights. They have not, at least not to the Mark Twain Neighborhood Group, says Association President Carol Goucher. She was unaware of Rogers' problem with Arby's until I called her. Goucher says that Rogers' problem is part of the bigger neighborhood concern over commercial noise and commercial encroachment that brings lighting deeper into the neighborhood. Steve Pokin writes the Pokin' Around and the Answer Man columns for the Springfield Daily Citizen. He also writes about criminal justice issues and can be reached at spokin@sgfcitizen.org. His office line is 417-837-3661.
Also from the Springfield Daily Citizen, little history of the Dickerson Park Zoo, posted today by Caitlin McConnell. Excuse me. Before Dickerson Park Zoo, two men had exotic ambition, how European ideas and animals shaped an early Springfield zoo. This is from a subcategory called Ozarks Echoes, which explores notable places and faces in the region's history. Every month, a news story will highlight how the topic echoes into the present, creating an impact that spans from its start to the modern day. Before Dickerson Park Zoo became a Springfield home for conservation and education, it was something else entirely, a 19th century spectacle of ambition, animals, entertainment, and civic boosterism. It drew crowds in big moments, like when Frederick Douglass spoke there, and for encounters with natural beauty and curiosity as Springfield sought to be seen as more than a small Ozarks town. Dickerson Park Zoo officially began in 1923 when it opened as a public Springfield park. But that date doesn't tell the full story, one that reaches back decades earlier to Heffernan and Riley's Zoological Park, billed as showcasing the finest collection of rare and beautiful animals and birds that can be obtained in the Western continent. Dating back to the 1890s, the land and the collection of animals passed through the hands of local businessmen intent on promoting Springfield and the greater Ozarks region. In 1923, that ambition ultimately led to the opening of Dickerson Park Zoo as it exists today, ushering in a brief period when Springfield had not one, but two zoos. Today, more than 450 animals are based at the zoo, offering opportunities for visitors to learn and connect with the natural world. It's also grown to a place of education and study. Its association of zoos and aquariums designation means that Springfield Zoo is part of a network that helps protect species from extinction. Decades ago, there were probably animals taken from the wild, says Joey Powell, Public Relations and Marketing Director for the Dickerson Park Zoo. That doesn't happen anymore. Actually, it's a 180-degree flip of zoos now working to reintroduce animals back into the wild. Plans for what was originally known as the Zoological Gardens at Pacific Springs Park were announced in 1891. Even before plans for the new park were announced, it appears a resort-like hotel was on the property known as the Old South Hotel. Readers may recall that better as Swinia Hall, a centerpiece of the zoo that stood until 1999. For some time, there has been in circulation in Springfield a rumor of a new park soon to be fitted up in the most metropolitan style with a grand zoological garden in connection with this suburban attraction, printed Springfield Daily Democrat in February 1891. It now appears that the rumor has a substantial basis as the projectors of the enterprise, Messrs. Heffernan and Riley, are men of means and practical ideas of business who do not spend much time in constructing mere air castles. The magnificent feature of the enterprise is to be the zoological garden, the paper continued. Negotiations are already pending for the purchase of buffalo, moose, elk, deer, antelope, bears, swans, eagles, pelicans, and other quadrupeds and birds of America. The men behind the project were James Riley, described as one of the most prominent railroad contractors in southwest Missouri, in the pictorial and genealogical record of Greene County, Missouri, and F.S. Heffernan. The attorney and multifaceted businessman's resume included electricity manufacturing plants, an ice factory, a foundry, a wagon company, an opera house, banking, and milling. He is an able attorney and is one of the most enterprising of men and has proven himself a decided acquisition to the city, noted the history book. Heffernan and Riley's associations led to the idea for a park and zoo. The idea was not a new one. Private collections of wild and exotic animals date back thousands of years across multiple ancient civilizations, notes Ian Shelley, Maryland Zoo's registrar. Shelley's comments were passed along from Sarah Fedel, Vice President of Communications for the Association of Zoos and Aquariums. What we think of as a zoo began to appear in Europe as an evolution of royal menageries, Shelley notes via email. The zoos in London and Paris, for example, were in some ways descendants of the animal collections at the Tower of London and the Versailles Palace, respectively. The first zoos in the U.S. opened in the aftermath of the Civil War, often as an endeavor by a professional society to emulate the European example. When the Philadelphia Zoo opened in 1874, it had a large collection of animals from around the world. Other U.S. zoos began as modest displays, such as a pair of swans, a bear cub, or a deer that were simply placed in a city park. This was also a time when resorts, especially focused on water, were at the forefront of healthful living. Eureka Springs is one example. People began flocking to the Arkansas community in the 1880s to receive the health benefits of the spring water. Springfield also wanted to enjoy that attention too, and the zoological park was strategically placed where the springs and a hotel were enjoyed. The new park featured amenities to draw those visitors too. Some 10 years ago, a spring of water was discovered there possessing medicinal qualities of rare virtue, and it all at once became a place of resort, printed the Springfield Daily Leader, of the land where the zoological park would be located. With that acute sense of knowing good things when they saw and tasted it, and that characterizes Judge Heffernan and Colonel Riley, especially water, these gentlemen proceeded to purchase 130 acres of land and commence to improving it. They have laid it out in serpentine graveled walks, margined with flower beds, watered with fountains that burst forth in the midst of roses. Not least of the attractions is a lake almost as beautiful as Lehman or Conio, so celebrated in song or story, where gondolas float upon the placid bosom of the water, and unlike Venice, Tasso's songs are heard wafted by soft breezes, lulling the hearers to sweet repose. Work continued toward the zoological park's unveiling. A couple of weeks before, as the animals were in the process of arriving, a reporter from the Springfield Daily Democrat showed up at Heffernan's home. When asked about the animals, he told reporters to follow him, and he would show him something that would be a surprise to him, the Democrat recounted. Before visiting the barn full of animals, the first thing that caught the reporter's eye on entering the lot was a beautiful little deer which Mr. Heffernan had christened Grover Cleveland. It's unclear why the deer was named after former U.S. President, who was in between terms at the time, but his grandson, George Cleveland, said it's not too surprising either. I have no specific information on Grover the deer, the East Coast resident told the Springfield Daily Citizen, but notes that it was fairly common knowledge that the then former president was an avid hunter and fisherman. Cleveland also notes that one of his grandfather's shotgun is held by the NRA Museum at Bass Pro in Springfield. It was a fairly common practice to name things and people after presidents, Cleveland continued. Maybe the founder was a fan, and it was his or her way of giving an election nudge. The park officially opened on the 4th of July, 1891, and it was projected to be the event of the season, as one paper called it. Another said it was to be one of the biggest events in this part of the state. In days before cars were common, visitors could take a streetcar to the end of the line and then walk the half-mile to the park or take a carriage or hack ride for a dime. The opening of the zoological gardens on the northern limits of the city marks another step in the advancement of Springfield from a town to a city, printed the Daily Democrat on July 1891. With the growth of the city comes the demand of places of amusement and recreation that must be supplied. In addition to the animals, the newspaper touted the summer hotel complete in every detail, as well as upcoming entertainment, including a racetrack, Eiffel Tower jump, sharpshooters, a high wire act, stereopticon, mechanical dissolving view, a tool popular in this period that combined images to create a 3D visual, a balloon wedding, balloon races, trained horses, and educated dogs. By October of 1892, plans included a run to become an exhibition park for regional fairs. From 130 acres, their proposed reach was wide, even by 21st century standards. In Missouri, north to Pettis County and east to Crawford County, into northern Arkansas, east into Kansas, and southwest into the Cherokee and Choctaw nations in the Indian Territory as it was known then. The company will train, educate, buy, sell, and deal in all kinds of wild animals and rare birds, build racetracks, construct an amphitheater, and stables and stalls of all kinds, and the buildings and halls necessary to the proper management of a first-class fair association, noted the newspaper. The association will fill a long-felt want for a large fair. The best horses will be brought here for the races and fair will be made metropolitan in every aspect. And the work was ballyhooed, even more, though, in that 1893 book profiling successful local men of the day. It features separate entries for Riley and Heffernan. Part of the latter's is shared below. Heffernan and Mr. Riley are now owners of the Zoo Park, which is the largest in the state of Missouri, and is beautiful and favorite place of public resort. This park is located 1/2 mile north of the city limits, and the question of quick and cheap transportation has been settled by the Metropolitan Electric Railroad Company, and cars are run from all parts of the city direct to the grounds. The park comprises about 130 acres, and in all may be truly said to be a thing of beauty and joy forever. It has many delightful natural nooks and innumerable springs which bubble out of the hillsides, and expense has not been spared to add to the many natural attractions. Artificial lakes have been made, drives through the grounds laid out, a summer hotel complete in every detail erected, bath and boat houses provided, and a fine racetrack and stables for fairgrounds will be completed this fall. They have a very fine collection of animals, which has been gathered together at large expense and with much difficulty, and these they expect to use for exhibition and also for breeding purposes. Therefore, their animals are well selected, large, and healthy. The citizens of Southwest Missouri are greatly indebted to Messrs. Heffernan and Riley for this magnificent park, and these gentlemen deserve the great credit for their enterprise, forethought, and push. A keynote of 1893. That was the year that abolitionist Frederick Douglass spoke at the zoo. He arrived in Springfield by train to a throng of waiting visitors and stayed at the Metropolitan Hotel. The zoological gardens were crowded this afternoon, the paper reported, one report estimating the crowd at 3,000 people. His speech was an oratorical effort fully up to his usual standard and lasted about 2 hours. It would appear that both black and white attendees came to hear the famed orator speak. I never saw so many white people present at any of my meetings south of Mason and Dixon's lines as there were in Springfield, he reportedly said through the Springfield Express. The citizens of Springfield are among the most liberal-minded people I have ever encountered. Despite the fanfare and success, documented through happy excursions noted in the newspaper, it seems the zoological park didn't work out the way Heffernan and Riley had hoped. And it would seem there was drama. Just a year after that glowing report was printed and 3 years after it opened, the park was up for sale. Part of that was tied to a desire for a fair which hadn't worked out well. The hard times compelled management to abandon the idea of a fair, and then trouble began, noted one article. An article in the Leader Democrat included that the last fairs did not come up to the expectations of the stockholders in a financial way. There was some back and forth over the property, which was sold, reorganized, and sold again, but at the end of the day, local businessman Jerome Dickerson ended up with it in his hands. Described in the newspaper as one of the best-known capitalists in southwest Missouri, Dickerson came to Springfield in 1887. He made a fortune in the lumber business in Michigan before he came to the Ozarks. Jerome Dickerson got his start towards wealth, a success story augmented by the real estate and loan business in which he engaged in Springfield by becoming a lumber expert, noted a 1961 Springfield Daily News article. He worked as a timber cruiser and became a highly specialized in appraisal of forest land. While in Michigan, he was offered a high salary for those days by a large firm, but decided if he was worth that much to them, he'd go into business for himself. The park, which became known as the Interstate Fair Association and Zoological Gardens, remained open in the subsequent years. However, the zoo itself eventually closed. Instead, novelty attractions were booked to lure visitors north of town, like when a Professor Kincaid, originally of Springfield and traveling with the Great American Circus, was set to make parachute leaps 5,000 feet from the earth. He reprised that appearance the following year. Professor Kincaid will make one of his famous balloon ascensions and daring parachute leaps from the flying balloon 5,000 feet above the earth, the Republican noted in April 1896. There will be many other attractions, also boat riding and bathing. It appears the Dickersons weren't necessarily the day-to-day operators of the park during their ownership. In 1897, the Marine Band leased the park for the season. It is proposed to make this splendid outing place more attractive than ever, noted the paper. Band concerts will be given every Sunday afternoon and on Thursday evenings beginning May 1st. 2 years later, land near the park was designated as the local pest camp during the smallpox epidemic. The Sisters of Mercy volunteered to care for these unfortunates when no one else would venture near the camp for fear of being infected, notes information on the Springfield Greene County Library's website. One of the sisters contracted the disease but survived. To thank them for their compassion, Springfield City Council voted to donate $500 to the sisters, and many Springfieldians gave money themselves in addition. This money was used to build a new 40-bed hospital in 1906 at the corner of Nichols Avenue and Main Street. Today, the start of that building is known by many as the old St. John's Hospital. Today, it's the Franciscan Villa. In any event, the park's travel through restoration and proclamations, managers, and a desire for a fair continued. Hope springs eternal. This back and forth over improvement that would solve the park's problems continued until 1909, when Jerome Dickerson died. He was in Eureka Springs when he fell off a porch and broke a hip, leading to declining health. His death was tied to arterial sclerosis, or hardening of the arteries, which papers tied to the injury. His family remained in Springfield, adding local color in the coming years, like when one of his sons sent a pet lion to U.S. President Theodore Roosevelt. Stanley the cub was shipped in a colorful crate proclaiming messages about Springfield, warnings about the lion, and support for the president. The lion, though but 5 months old, is now an animal of such size that Colonel Dickerson felt afraid to longer give the beast freedom of the store and the street, noted Republican. The lion has had free range of Mr. Dickerson's store and has recently done much damage to a stock of suitcases and valises carried there, the beast having chewed them up. A large couch, which was produced for the animal in the winter when he was buying a young cub, has also been torn completely to pieces, nothing remaining of it but springs and framework. It's unclear what Roosevelt thought when the cub arrived, but its departure left just one animal at the zoo, a parrot, the only remaining relic of the colonel's fondness for unique and sometimes dangerous pets. By 1912, the park closed. A decade later, Dickerson's descendants brokered a deal with Springfield Park Board to sell the land for $23,000. They decided to sell the tract of land to the city at less than half its value, with the agreement that it should only be used as a park, noted the Springfield Republican. By selling the tract to the park board at a price less than half its values, the owners did their share in donating largely of the park system to the city. The effort soon began to raise money to beautify the park. The first contribution was for $100. Your announcement of the purchase of Dickerson Park by the park board will prove to be one of the finest things that has ever happened for the amusement-loving and sports-loving element of Springfield, the contributor wrote to E. McJimsey, president of the park board, on its purchase, which he thought would include a golf course. The new park will benefit all of Springfield, and it is my opinion that all should contribute to a project which adds so much metropolitan aspect to our already up-to-date city. Lost my place. This is a very long article. When Dickerson Park began, Springfield already had a zoo at Phelps Grove Park, where a collection of alligators, monkeys, and even at least one buffalo lived in cages, the foundation of which are still visible today. According to the Republican, the Phelps Grove Park Zoo was growing rapidly by 1917. So far, the collection at Phelps Grove Park consists of prairie dogs, groundhogs, guinea pigs, coons, possums, anteaters, fox, squirrels, wolves, ringneck doves, a pen of registered pigeons, and a big American eagle. And to complete the collection, 2 Bolivar boys recently sent an alligator. But it wasn't ideal, both because of the conditions for the animals and because of their impact on neighbors. By July 1923, discussion was underway on moving at least some of the animals to Dickerson Zoo Park. Several persons have suggested the animals be moved to Dickerson Park because of the cramped quarters they now have at Phelps Grove Park and because of complaints have been made by persons residing in the immediate vicinity of the zoo. Later that year, other tropical animals were moved, at least temporarily, as they faced cold winter temperatures. A list that includes monkeys, parrots, parakeets, alligators, and pelicans were housed in the pavilion attached to the aforementioned Swinnea Hall, a long-gone local landmark where dances were held near a lake. Other animals were gradually moved from Phelps Grove to Dickerson Park, which was working to reframe its relationship to the public. One way was by allowing locals to keep their horses there for training. It was announced that the stables at Dickerson Park Zoo, which the park board some time ago threw open free to owners of racing horses who wish to use the park track for training, are nearly full of fine horses, the Republican noted in July 1924. These are given almost daily training on the park track, one of the fastest in the region. But all of this means that for a time, Springfield actually had 2 operating zoos. It appears the zoo at Phelps Grove Park closed around 1930, leaving Dickerson Park Zoo as the city's long-lasting landmark for both animals and local history. And another success is next door, the Ozark Empire Fairgrounds, where the region's largest fair has taken place for decades.
We are currently broadcasting live from the Blind Community Thrift Store, situated at 2713 North Kansas Expressway in Springfield, Missouri. For additional information about our store, please visit the official website at www.blindcommunitythriftstore.com. To explore more of our video content, including movie reviews with Matt and Meredith, adaptive technology training videos, and other information material, please visit our YouTube channel by searching for Blind Community Thrift Store. Our organization is dedicated to supporting the blind community through various initiatives, and our online platforms serve as valuable resources for community engagement and communication. This is from the Springfield News-Leader. Here are 15 restaurants, big projects coming to Springfield in 2026. There are plenty of big projects in the works across the Queen City that locals and visitors alike can get excited to welcome in 2026. In the new year, Springfieldians will see new dining options enter the scene, as well as several large public developments come to fruition. While most public projects have remained on budget, the city of Springfield is still spending millions of dollars on several public projects aimed at both improving infrastructure and adding to the quality of place. Commercial Bank Chief Economist Scott Colbert said since the COVID-19 pandemic, construction costs have continued to rise and outpace the consumer price index. This has been due to the high labor costs as years-long employees retire and cannot be replaced at the same rate. Unionized laborers have had strong negotiating power, and construction materials have seen the impacts of tariffs imposed through 2025. Colbert said he expects this trend of high construction costs to continue into 2026. He noted non-governmental, non-residential construction has already slowed significantly, with private businesses taking a pause from new construction. Nevertheless, there are plenty of new eateries and public projects nearing the finish line in the upcoming year to get excited about. Tie and Timber Pizza Kitchen. Tie and Timber Beer Company in the bustling Cherry and Pickwick area is expanding and adding its own pizza kitchen in the new 7,000 square foot space. The new restaurant will serve 3 different types of pizza: Detroit, California, and a thin, crispy tavern style. Co-owner Kurt Marshall said they hope to open as soon as possible, but felt confident it will be within the first quarter of 2026. The Safe Spoon. The owners of the Nixa-based Sensitively Sweet Bakery are opening an allergen-free cafe in Springfield. The cafe plans to serve breakfast and lunch dishes free of gluten, dairy, eggs, nuts, soy, dyes, and mammal ingredients. It will also include a full-service coffee bar. The new restaurant is planned to be located on East Sunshine Street. The new local restaurant is expected to open in February 2026, according to its social media pages. Springfield's first Hawaiian Brothers. A fast casual chain known for its Hawaiian plate lunch plans to open its first Springfield location in the former Wendy's building at 1272 East Battlefield Road. Hawaiian Brothers Island Grill offers meat and rice lunch plates, wraps, dole soft serve, and spam mushibi, and a type of sushi with teriyaki glazed spam. Per a Hawaiian Brothers representative, the new spot is expected to open sometime in March or April. Ebbets Field is reopening. After the Springfield staple closed in early 2024, Sidney and Jared Davis purchased the building at 1027 East Walnut Street and have been planning to reopen it with all the nostalgia of the pub intact, including a menu similar to its pre-2022 iteration. The Davises told the Springfield News-Leader via email they are planning to open in the spring of 2026, though a grand opening date has not yet been set. New Plaza Towers concepts announced. Under the new ownership after a foreclosure sale, Plaza Towers is bringing more amenities to the corner of Glenstone Avenue and Sunshine Street. Those include a Towers Comedy Club, a stand-up comedy and entertainment venue, and a full restaurant and bar, and Scratch & Company, a restaurant offering elevated comfort food and handcrafted cocktails. According to a Facebook post by the Daily Blend, these are expected to arrive in the first quarter of 2026. Mumbles 1888. Springfield Brewing Company is set to open its own pub on Commercial Street, dedicated to all things soccer. The new tap room will serve a wide selection of SBC beers and Thai Ichde Das spirits. Those skip out on serving food and create a space for sports fans to gather. While Mumbles 1888 plans to show every English Premier League game live, it will also show all the classic sports beloved in the U.S. Co-owner Neil and Christina Cantor said via email they hope to open by the end of January. Second Rebar location. Rebar Kitchen and Tap Room is opening a second location. Rebar visitors can expect to have another option to grab a drink or order food from 2925 West Republic Road very soon. Owner Robert Harris told the News-Leader via email that the new location is expected to open in either late January or early February. The fourth Chipotle location. After opening a new location, the first with its drive-through Chipotlane feature, in October, Chipotle Mexican Grill has already started plans on its next location. It is bringing its burritos and quesadillas to North Springfield at 2734 North Kansas Expressway, just south of Interstate I-44. The fourth Springfield location is expected to open in late 26, according to previous News-Leader reporting. A new and better Target. A second Target store is coming to Springfield on the southwest corner of Sunshine Street and West Bypass as part of the Sunshine Town Center. The approximately 148,000 square foot space will include a drive-through fulfillment center for pickup and delivery orders. While previously anticipated to open in 2025, the project ran into complications. Thomas Walker, owner of Retail Realty Group that is developing the project, told Springfield City Council on November 3rd that as the building was undergoing construction, it ran into issues with the water and sewer lines and that the site had significant drainage issues. With frequent flooding, the developer created a stream buffer to alleviate flooding, but that also meant the new sewer mains and water mains had to be added for utility connections. This project was just off the charts difficult to develop because of the flooding, the water, the drainage, Walker told Council November 3rd. It was a very, very difficult site to develop, but we're all past that. The Target spokesman said there currently is not an estimated date of completion for opening the new store. The Jefferson Avenue footbridge on Commercial Street is undergoing rehabilitation work that seeks to repair and replace deficient structural members, stairs, and the wood decking, applying a new paint system and installing lighting. 2 elevators will be added, one on each side, to make the bridge accessible and comply with Americans with Disabilities Act. The bridge has been closed for more than 9 years. To make way for the rehabilitation work, the historic bridge was disassembled this summer, but it is slowly making its way back across the railroad tracks. The first section of rehabilitated bridge span was lifted into place over the railway on Friday, December 12th. The remaining bridge sections are expected to be installed back after the new year, once railroad traffic slows following the busy holiday shipping season, City's senior communications coordinator Kristen Millam said via email. The rehabilitation team was hopeful for an early 2026 completion, but are now targeting a springtime reopening date. A rededication ribbon-cutting ceremony has already been planned for the footbridge on May 2nd as part of Springfield's Route 66 Centennial Kickoff celebration. Total cost of the project is approximately $13 million, funded largely through an $8 million state appropriation. The project remains on budget. The Grant Avenue Parkway project creates an off-street pedestrian and bicycle pathway along Grant Avenue from Sunshine Street to College Street. In the works for years, the 3-mile path is now connecting downtown Springfield with Wonders of Wildlife National Museum and Aquarium. A key part of this project has been to spur development in the surrounding area. So far, 3 multifamily housing communities have opened, several permits for single-family remodels or new builds issued, and the Risdale Family Center for Great Futures, a Boys and Girls Club of Springfield facility on Catalpa has opened. Grant Avenue finally reopened to traffic on Tuesday, December 16th, after much anticipation. The project was delayed as property acquisition and utility relocation took longer than expected. While the main parts of the project are complete, contractors are still expected to be on the site into the spring to complete the last items such as grass growth, landscaping, striping, and cleanup. The total project costs $31 million. Majority of this $21 million comes from federal money awarded to the city in 2019. The local match is coming from city utilities contributing $4 million, and the city's quarter-cent and 8-cent sales tax make up the remaining $6 million. According to a city news release, this is the largest project, both in budget and scope, that the city's public works has taken on. Greene County Court's expansion. The building that served as the former county jail at 1000 North Boonville Avenue is being revamped to allow the current Greene County Circuit Court facilities to expand. Family courts, juvenile court, and Greene County Youth Academy will move into the revamped space. The project also includes an expansive new secured one-stop entrance and lobby building that will house the county's pretrial services office, which has outgrown its current space. After the family court's personnel move over to the new offices and courtrooms, their old space on the northwest corner of the Judicial Courts facility will be renovated to accommodate the public administrator's office. The revamped jail building and new court entrance is planned to be complete in late summer or early fall 2026. The public administrator's office space is expected to be complete in the first quarter of 2027. The project totals $24 million and is currently on budget. It is mainly funded by bonds that were purchased with a half-cent county general revenue sales tax passed by voters in 2017. Some funding for the American Rescue Act, or ARPA, have also been used for the HVAC system. The county's senior project manager, Rob Rigdon, told the News-Leader via email recent estimates of furniture costs and the court's security screening equipment with newer technology has exceeded what was initially budgeted. The costs are being evaluated for options and additional funding from other sources, including interest on ARPA funds that has been accumulated. A new animal shelter. The new shelter building at 3303 West Division Street will span nearly 9,000 square feet and will include more than 5,000 square feet of canine housing, as well as 3,200 square feet of office space. In addition to the new building, the property will have an outdoor run for animals, a centralized drain system, and easy access to parking for the public. It will replace the current shelter that dates back to the 1930s and cannot accommodate needed capacity. After a groundbreaking in July, the interior siding is in place. The floors, walls, and ceiling are currently in progress of construction, and the parking lot pavement is expected to be completed soon, per Anna Kremer, the Public Information Officer for the Springfield Greene County Health Department. The new animal shelter is estimated to be complete in spring of 2026. Both the City of Springfield and Greene County are contributing money. Greene County is contributing $1.5 million from the countywide half-cent general sales tax that voters approved in 2017. The city is putting $3.4 million towards the project from its property tax. The total project costs roughly $4.9 million. Renew Jordan Creek. The project spans two large blocks in the urbanized center of Jordan Valley Park, bordered on the east by Boonville Avenue, Water Street, and the railway on the south, Main Avenue on the west, and Mill Street on the north. The goal of the project is to mitigate flooding, improve water quality, and provide an innovative quality of place and economic development improvements by bringing the buried creek back into the daylight. Since the project hit the halfway point in October, contractor Bronco executed a 48-hour construction of precast box culvert system underneath the BNSF rail line running alongside the project. A lot of work still remains, including construction of cast-in-place box culverts east of Boonville, as well as many surface improvements such as plaza areas and landscaping. The overall project is expected to be complete in late 2026, after hitting its halfway mark in October. There are additional phases of the larger Jordan Creek master plan that includes improvements at Founders Park and at 404 North Jefferson Avenue that have not been slated for construction. The total price tag for this phase sits at around $33 million. Though the construction itself costs $26.8 million, the project is being funded by a plethora of grant funds, pandemic relief funds, and local money, including $6.5 million in special obligation bonds. Millam said by email that a state revolving fund loan is also used as a key source of construction funding. The project remains on budget, though there have been a few recent change orders due to the complex nature of the project, she said. Historic City Hall. The rehabilitation work to clean up and modernize the 131-year-old building on Chestnut Expressway has been ongoing and complex. One of the main goals of the project is to bring the building up to modern code standards and make it ADA accessible. That work will include a new internal staircase, a new elevator large enough for a gurney, replacement of all mechanical, electrical, and plumbing systems, modern office spaces for city departments, and revamped chambers for city council meetings. The work already completed includes stripping of up to 7 layers of lead-based paint, the demolition of a single-story addition to the building, and the removal of walls and carpet to open up more of the building. The city's principal engineer, Tom Dancy, estimated at a council meeting December 15th that the work on the historic building will be completed by the end of 2026, with council and city staff to move back into historic hall in early 2027. Up to this point, the project is estimated to cost $23.24 million. This is funded through the city's level property tax, Local American Rescue Plan Act funds, general fund carryover funds, bonds, energy efficiency and conservation block grant, and a grant from Abilities First, according to city documents. At the December 15th Springfield City Council meeting, the team working on the project requested an additional $3.1 million to be funded by the level property tax reserves. David Atkinson with J.E. Dunn, who is leading the construction, said ongoing work on the building has revealed a need for further abatement and adjustments to the current work, as well as desires for additional audiovisual system improvements throughout the building, and interior signage have added to the costs. He noted that cast iron roof drain pipes will need to be replaced after leaking was discovered. The elevator shaft will have to be moved from where it was initially anticipated, and water management solutions are needed to address moisture infiltration in the basement. Council has not yet to approve the use of an additional $3.1 million to the project, and it is expected to vote on the matter at its next meeting on January 12th. If approved, the local price tag for the rehabilitation work will come to more than $26 million.
Now for a note about the weather. So this is from ky3.com. Brandon Beck, meteorologist. First alert weather, record highs through Saturday, and then a huge drop is coming late Sunday. Good Friday morning, early temperatures are above 60 degrees for many places, and yet another day of record heat is in store. A weak cool front will enter the region from the west, but will have only a minor impact on our high temperatures, shaving a few degrees off of yesterday's highs. Springfield's record is only 68 degrees, which should be broken by lunchtime or sooner. Rolla is the only place I think may fall short. Our dew point will drop, however, setting the stage for a cooler night tonight. The front will lift again on Saturday with record highs likely for one last day as temperatures soar into the upper 70s. Moisture will return as well, which may bring us a little rain when a cold front arrives Sunday. Showers and thunderstorms should develop along the front, but not everyone will see rain. A few thunderstorms are possible as well, with the best chance southeast of I-44. Temperatures will start in the 60s and may reach lower 70s before crashing late Sunday. It will feel like a different planet on Monday morning, with temperatures around 20 degrees and a wind chill that could reach the single digits to wind gusts approaching 40 miles per hour. Despite sunshine, high temperatures on Monday will only be around 30 degrees. The rest of the week looks dry, with more seasonable temperatures as we start 2026. And how about a little bit of sports as well? Look at the blue and gold tournament brackets. So look at the top seeds in each 2025 bracket. The 80th annual Greenwood Blue and Gold Boys Basketball Tournaments tip off Friday, December 26th, today, at Great Southern Bank Arena and the adjoining Hammond Student Center. Both 4-day 16-team tournaments culminate Tuesday, December 30th with 7 p.m. and 8:30 p.m. championship games at the Missouri State University venue. Here's a look at the top 4 seeds in each bracket. Number 1 seed, Logan Rogersville, 5-0, back-to-back Class 4 third-place finisher. Logan Rogersville is oozing with talent, starting with Indiana-bound junior Chase Branham, who ranks among the best class of 2027 guards in the country. Throw in the sizable siblings of Marcus and Titus Moore, the former a Northwest Missouri State commit, and the latter a sophomore on plenty of recruiting radars, and it's easy to see why the Wildcats were invited to the forthcoming Bass Pro Tournament of Champions in January. Logan Rogersville, which fell to Kickapoo in a blue and gold title round last year, is off to a hot start, winning the Eagle Invitational and going 2-0 at a talent-stocked Bill Rowe shootout. Number 2 seed is Willard, 5-1. Willard started the season with a Willard Tournament Championship by downing the same Belton team in the title game, 70-58, that clipped Glendale, the number 4 seed in this bracket, 70-67. Among the Tigers' talented group are siblings JJ and Uzziah Huskisson, the latter receiving a total of 34 points in a 73-66 win over West Plains. Their father, Jonathan Huskisson, starred for the Tigers 20 years ago. Number 3 seed is Republic, 4-1. Republic has been a blue and gold force in recent years, winning 13 of its past 16 games in the tournament since 2021, including last year's gold bracket title game win over Bolivar. Brody Blades, who hit 6 3-pointers in the win, returns along with all COC guard Kieran Govan, looking to continue Republic's winning ways in the annual holiday tournament. The number 4 seed, Glendale, while all COC and district guard Joel Rover is a thrilling junior guard to watch. The Falcons are an experienced bunch. Rover, senior guard Jakin Seats, and junior forward Markel Houston make up a formidable trio. The gold division, at a glance, number 1 seed Nixa is 4-1. After getting shocked at the buzzer by unseeded Bolivar in the early rounds of last year's blue and gold, the Eagles are ready to atone for the hiccup. Nixa went on to win its district, reach the Class 6 semifinals, and place 3rd. 3 of that 29-3 team's primary players return, including All-State forward Adam McKnight, All-Conference guard Randy Flint, and fellow guard Ty Kellis. Nixa won the Rogers Tournament on December 13th. Number 2 seed is Hartville, 8-0. The Class 2 power, with 12 district titles in 13 years and 4 state titles since 2016, may be a tough out for anyone, regardless of classification, in this bracket. All-state guard Mason Codgel leads a team rich in talent and experience, recently handling Class 5 Marshfield 75-58 to win the Clever Invitational. Number 3 seed is Ozark, who are 4-2. The Tigers are rich in length and experience, paced by high-scoring 6'5" junior guard Kylan Pickering, an All-COC selection, averaging 28.5 points, 8 rebounds, 4 assists, and 2.7 steals per game. Number 4 seed Bolivar, who are 5-2, All-Conference guards Colton Ingold and Matthew Gigolo return for the Liberators, who reached a blue and gold title round 4 years ago before falling to Republic. Bolivar is off to a nice start after falling to Stratford in its district championship game in March and is holding teams to 48 points per game.
We are broadcasting live from the Blind Community Thrift Store, the world's first retail store to use NaviLens to help navigate and inform blind and visually impaired individuals while shopping with little to no assistance. For more information, visit our website at www.blindcommunitythriftstore.com. This comes to us from the Springfield News-Leader. Ozarks Tech will open the U in August as a new space for students. Some of the key points include Ozarks Technical Community College is nearing completion of the Michael L. Parsons Student Union, set to open in August. The new Student Union House will house a library, fitness center, bookstore, and various dining options, including Starbucks and Hardee's. The college plans to demolish some older buildings for surface parking lots and is exploring construction of a parking garage. Ozarks Technical Community College has entered its final months of construction for the Michael L. Parsons Student Union, which faces Chestnut Expressway east of Sherman Avenue. Ozarks Tech Chancellor Hal Higdon said the college expects to be able to start moving into the space during the summer and host a ribbon-cutting ceremony Wednesday, August 12th. It is going to mark the maturity of the campus, he said. The Springfield-based college was established in 1990, and much of the focus of the early decades was on building classrooms, labs, and office spaces. Demand for technical educational programs has helped drive the construction of new and different spaces. The opening of the Union, which will be a hub for students, will trigger a shift in all other parts of the campus. It will become the new home for the enhanced library, tutoring, and learning services, the fitness center, the cafe, and the bookstore or Eagle Store. Starbucks will move into the Student Union, and Ozarks Tech has reserved space for Kraft Sushi, Hardee's, Little Caesars, and more. You're going to see a lot of moving pieces on campus. New parking, he said. Higdon said Ozarks Tech has an average student age of 20, which is traditional, and students want places to gather and study during and between classes. If you go down to Information Commons between 11 and 1, every table is full. Every Starbucks table is full, and if the weather is okay, they're sitting outside, he said. There is no place for them to be, no place to study, and just hang out. So the U is going to give us that breathing room. The exit of certain student-centered services and amenities from the Information Commons is a redesign is in the works for the central administrative and classroom building. The changes will provide more room for growing programs such as sports and the culinary arts, and make it easier to traverse through the hallways and common areas. It will also allow the college to bring offices that work together into closer proximity. We're going to try and smooth out the flow of the building, he said. A series of new spaces have opened up in recent years, including the Robert W. Plaster Center for Advanced Manufacturing, the Roy Blunt Aviation Training Center near the Springfield Branson National Airport, and the Agricultural and Electrical Distribution Systems building at the Richwood Valley campus. We have more technical and health sciences degrees than any other community college in the state, by a huge margin, he said. The work near the Student Union includes a new outdoor plaza, signage entering campuses at Sherman Avenue and Chestnut Expressway, and a clock tower. The News-Leader recently asked Higdon about what other big changes are planned for 2026 and beyond. This year, the public relations, marketing, and communication staff will move out of a smaller building along Central Street, just west of National Avenue, and into Information Commons. We're going to start to tear that building down and turn it into parking, he said. Higdon said he plans to go to the Ozarks Tech Board of Trustees with a proposal to build a new parking lot. The college recently built one on the north side of the campus near Pythian Street and Hampton Avenue. In recent years, the college has reported maintaining roughly 2,500 parking spots in the Springfield campus. He said the college owns most of the property to the east of the new parking lot, including the former Mount Carmel United Methodist Church property along National Avenue. The college looked at ways to use the existing structure, but has decided against renovating the property. It will eventually be torn down to make space for more parking. The old part of the church, it would take more to make it usable than it is worth, he said. In recent years, the college has upgraded the existing parking lots to include more lighting, Wi-Fi, and closed-circuit cameras. Higdon said, given the growth of the Springfield campus in terms of enrollment and facilities, it is time to explore the possibility of a parking garage. He said the college needs to hire an engineer to look at the best location and the potential cost, initially estimated at $5 million or more. As a starting point, the college has identified 3 possible locations: along Chestnut Expressway adjacent to Graff Hall, on the surface parking lot directly north of the Information Commons, between Central Street and Pythian Street on the north side of the campus. Surface parking is much more expensive, but we are running out of property, Higdon said. No decision has been made. We are not taking anything to the board. We are just exploring whether or not a parking garage would make sense. Higdon said Graff Hall, one of 2 founding academic buildings on the Ozarks Tech campus, may eventually be demolished. He said the building materials used for that structure do not meet standards required today. We've been holding it together, he said of the building on Sherman Avenue. It may be 10 years, but at some point in time, it would go away because they really need parking on this side of campus. Currently, Graff Hall houses the college's adult education and literacy department, associated classrooms, and has been home to the informational technology and networking technology departments.
That's a mouthful. From the Springfield Daily Citizen posted today, December 26th, Convoy of Hope's new facility will feed over 1 million children daily. A new automated manufacturing facility at Convoy's Brookline headquarters will go online in 2026. Convoy of Hope is getting ready to launch a new food manufacturing and packing facility located at the nonprofit's Brookline headquarters. Construction is wrapping up around the first quarter of 2026, and the facility will be operational before the end of the year. With 8 automated manufacturing lines, the facility will allow Convoy to begin producing commodities in-house for the first time. Part of the organization's goal is to expand its feeding program, which serves school children in 39 countries. This is our first outing into this foray, and it's because of the need we see, said Ethan Forheads, Convoy's Vice President of Public Engagement. It's just a game changer for Convoy of Hope. It positions us in a way to feed well more than 1 million children every school day, and also to help meet the needs of the United States by taking some control ourselves, and we are able to ramp it up and really utilize it to our highest capacity. Convoy's goal is to feed 1 million children around the world each day by 2030. Since COVID-19, Forheads and the nonprofit has also observed an increase in the number of American working families who need supplemental meals at the end of each month. Convoy's new facility will require a staff of about 10 people to operate the automated lines, Forheads said. The lines will combine raw beans and rice with seasoning to make complete meals. In the future, the facility will create items like pasta and cereal. Nutritionists advise Convoy on the food it distributes. They make sure that the meals have vitamins, minerals, and micronutrients that a child needs for the day, because it's likely, sadly, the only meal of the day and the child can have in many of the places we work around the world, Forhead said. The new facility will produce different types of meals for people in the U.S. and around the world. It's going to be a mixture of international and domestic, so it's hard to put a number on how many meals it will make, Forheads explained. The number will be in the hundreds of millions. If all 8 lines were producing the same type of meal, the facility could create 776 million meals for international distribution in a year, or 240 million for domestic distribution, he said. Forheads added that the estimates were based on the facility operating with an 8-hour shift. Convoy could double production in the future by staffing people to work 2 shifts each day. The organization is currently finding farmers in Missouri and across the Midwest to supply bulk commodities for manufacturing. The $8 million facility was made possible by a large anonymous donor. Q & Company, LLC, and Buxton Cubic Dodd Design Collective, the builders and architects of Convoy's headquarters, led the project. This article is by Zoe McIntyre, who was born and raised in the Springfield area. She covers Springfield, surrounding communities like Nixa, Ozark, and Republic. While a student at Evangel University, she enjoyed working on the staff at the school's radio station and newspaper, where she served as editor-in-chief for 1 year. When she isn't persuading her friends to read more news, she enjoys cooking and thrifting.
This is from KY3. Beef prices keep going up despite Trump's efforts. From CNN staff. Beef prices keep going up, and it does not look like it's going to get any better anytime soon, despite the Trump administration's efforts to rein in costs. According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, ground beef cost an average of $6 $8.78 per pound in November. That is a 2.1% increase from September and a 15% jump from a year earlier. The record beef prices come as the United States has historically small cattle herd. The low supply is accompanied by strong demand for ground products, which are among the least costly options. The Trump administration has sought to address the problem with measures to increase imports and support for domestic ranchers. The administration also calls for an investigation into price fixing by meat packers. This is also from KY3. 22 states to raise minimum wage as many Americans worry about affordability. This is also published by CNN. Nearly 24 states and Washington, D.C. will be raising their minimum wages in 2026 at a time when many Americans are concerned about affordability. Millions of Americans could soon receive higher paychecks as 22 states and the District of Columbia raise their hourly minimum wages. Those states are Alaska, Arizona, California, Colorado, Connecticut, Florida, Hawaii, Maine, Michigan, Minnesota, Missouri, Montana, Nebraska, New Jersey, New York, Ohio, Oregon, Rhode Island, South Dakota, Vermont, Virginia, and Washington. In some areas, the higher rates will be more than double the current federal minimum wage, which was set at $7.25 an hour in 2009. The highest minimum wage will be in D.C. at $17.95 an hour. Amit Bhattacharya, professor of economics at Rochester Institute of Technology, says while the wage increases are good news, it is not going to solve the affordability crisis. Wealth and inequality in the United States, where the difference between the 1%ers and the 99%ers is staggeringly large. It will definitely help people in the lower end of the income distribution. The number of hourly workers who earned the federal minimum wage for last year was around 1%, according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics. Andrew Chamberlain is the principal economist at Gusto, a human resources payroll firm. He says history shows small changes in wages don't have a huge effect on businesses. Companies either absorb the cost or they'll pass on some of it forward in the form of higher prices to the consumers, he said. Most of the wage increases will take effect January 1st, but 3 states, Alaska, Florida, and Oregon, will raise their hourly minimum wages later in the year. And this is from the 417. New Year's Eve events in the Ozarks. Good Spirits and Company headquarters, 424 East Cherry Street, Suite A in Springfield. Got plans for the New Year's Eve but still looking for a celebration beforehand? On December 28th, Good Spirits and Company hosts the final Sunday Supper Club of 2025 with seasonal dishes and a beer and wine and cocktail bar. Spots are limited, so reserve now. Andy B's Family Party, 1127 East Battlefield Road in Springfield. Roll into the new year on the lanes at Andy B's. If you're looking for family night out, you won't want to miss the family party pack. A soiree at Pythian Castle, 1451 East Pythian Street in Springfield. Enjoy Pythian Castle's most lavish night of the year. Start off the night with dinner in the ballroom, followed by a Clue adventure game in the basement, and finally a dessert, a DJ, and party favors in the theater. Call 417-865-1464 for more information and reservations. Hotel Vandervoort's New Year's Eve Party, 305 East Walnut Street in Springfield. Nobody does New Year's Eve quite like Hotel Vandervoort. Indulge in cocktails, chef-curated dishes, and a lively downtown atmosphere. While you're eating, enjoy live music, festive drinks, and a great ambience. New Year's Eve at the Discovery Center, 438 East St. Louis, Springfield, 417-862-9910. Ring in the new year with the whole family at the much less challenging time of noon. Discover the Discovery Center team for a dance party, balloon drop, and explore the new features at the center. Metro's annual New Year's Eve party, 2931 East Battlefield Road, Springfield, 417-889-4951. Ring in the new year with Metro. Enjoy great food, festive cocktails, music, and more. Before the ball drops, a Whisper Mill New Year's Eve dinner experience. 417 Mill Market, 203 East Mount Vernon Street in Nixa. 417-763-6500. Ring in the new year in true 20 style at the Whisper Mill Speakeasy inside 14 Mill Market. Included with your ticket are perks like reserved seating, a welcome cocktail, specialty cocktail menu, party favors, and more. Check out the event for prices and more details. New Year's Even Pajama Party, 2811 East Galloway Street, Suite A, Springfield. Head to 4x4 Brewing Company's Galloway location for a cozy New Year's Eve pajama party. Our Big Fat Greek New Year's Eve party at Greek Belly, 320 East Walnut Street, Springfield, 417-597-3382. Choose dishes from a 5-course menu and enjoy entertainment from belly dancers and live musicians. Jazzy New Year's Eve party at Hold Fast Brewing, 235 North Kimbrough Avenue in Springfield. Celebrate the new year downtown at Hold Fast Brewing with live music from the Brueggemann Jazz Group. Plus an early New Year's toast if you'd rather be home before midnight. Good luck, babe. Ringing in a year of luck in style at Fremont Hills, 903-9003 Sawgrass Avenue in Nixa. Enjoy a combination of New Year's Eve celebrations like dancing, food, and drinks with traditions from around the world at 4x4 Brewing Company's Fremont location. Fitz's New Year's Eve Party, 425 West 76 Country Boulevard in Branson. Enjoy a family-friendly night of New Year's fun at Fritz's Adventure with a live DJ, unlimited access to all attractions, a ball drop at midnight, door prizes, and more. New Year's Eve celebration at Big Cedar Lodge, 190 Top of the Rock Road, Ridgedale. As always, Big Cedar Lodge has a variety of celebrations, large and small, for all ages. Watch the fireworks in style with reserved seating at Devil's Pool Restaurant. Enjoy upscale regional cuisine at Osage Restaurant, or party the night away at the Grand View Conference Center. Check out info on all this and more on the website. Big Cedar offers New Year's Eve events for kids and teens. And finally, New Year's Eve at Finley Farms, 802 Finley Farms Road in Ozark, 417-210-6644. Ring in the new year at the Garrison with a 6-course meal that includes poached lobster, prime filet, and more, plus signature cocktails, paired wine, VIP experiences, and more. Make sure you reserve now before spots sell out.
From the Springfield Daily Citizen, posted yesterday, suspect hospitalized after being shot by Springfield police following a domestic disturbance. Springfield police officers responding to a domestic disturbance shot and seriously injured a suspect who was holding a victim against her will, according to a police department news release. Officers responded around 9 p.m. on December 24th to a call in the 2400 block of Northeast Avenue, just west of Kearney and National Avenue. While police were setting up a perimeter, the victim escaped the home and the suspect emerged with a gun pointed at officers, the news release said. Officers engaged and shot the suspect. After officers rendered first aid at the scene, the suspect was transported to a Springfield hospital with what were described as life-threatening injuries, the release said. No other injuries were reported. Per policy, officers involved were placed on administrative leave pending an internal investigation. Results will be presented to the Greene County Prosecuting Attorney's Office for review. Anyone with information about this incident may call the Springfield Police Department at 417-864-1810 or make an anonymous tip to Crime Stoppers at 417-869-8477 or online at p3tips.com. Now, a little bit more of a fun story. On this day in 1967, the Wham-O Manufacturing Company was issued a U.S. patent on this day in 1967 for a saucer-shaped throwing implement, better known as a Frisbee brand flying discs. These discs have their roots in the 1870s when students in Connecticut tossed pie tins around for fun and helped contribute to the rise of disc golf and other disc sports in the 1970s. So, Frisbees were patented on this day in 1967.
This comes to us from the Springfield Daily Citizen. Springfield traffic engineers use cell phone data to analyze crashes and near misses. Anonymous, agitated cell phone data shows where people are speeding, hard braking, and if they're using their cell phone while driving. Of all the city-maintained roadways in Springfield, South Campbell Avenue has the most injury crashes, and the intersection of Campbell and Grand Street had the highest numbers of crashes last year at any intersection in town. Of the nearly 1,500 crashes citywide that involved an injury or fatality in 2024, 81% were due to human error. And of the 61 pedestrian crashes every year, 25 involved pedestrians crossing inappropriately, and 25 involved drivers failing to yield to pedestrians. In 11 of those pedestrian crashes, no clear determination could be made. These numbers were just a slice of the data found in the City of Springfield Public Works Department's 2024 crash report released last week. The revamped report was created using a combination of traditional crash data analysis and new innovative technology. Some of the most interesting and revealing information in the study was gleaned from cellular telemetrics data, which show how people are driving and how they are behaving behind the wheel. Where are they speeding? Are they hard braking at a particular intersection? Are they distracted by their phones? Experts see what's working and what's not. What that means, folks, is that they have certain apps on their phones and they have opted in, whether they know it or not, for their data to be anonymously shared, explained Mandy Quinn, traffic safety and professional with Public Works. We can see if people are speeding and where they are speeding and how their speed increases. We can see people speeding down Campbell till they come to the traffic downtown, which tells us it's working. Quinn emphasized the cellular telemetrics data is all completely anonymous. All we can see that Mr. Smith was at this location and did something wrong. No, it's aggregated data, Quinn said. A lot of behavioral things will not even be on a police report because people typically don't self-incriminate and say, "Oh yeah, I was on my cell phone." Public Works also conducted special camera deployments which, with the help of artificial intelligence, identified and analyzed near-miss events. For the first time, we're able to move beyond reactive crash data and begin to understand patterns of risky behavior before they result in collisions. This is a huge step forward, the type of proactive traffic safety program that can help a community tackle the tragic injuries on their roadways that are entirely preventable. Quinn, who's been in the city's Public Works Department for 20 years, said having access to drivers' behavioral information has made her job super exciting. I am passionate about traffic safety and keeping folks out of harm's way, she said. Injury prevention is a really big part of what I do. And the new technology not only helps guide the department in making safety improvements, which were needed, but staff can see almost immediately if the change is working. For example, several people voiced concerns about the intersection of Jefferson Avenue and Elm Street in downtown. We changed this little thing and it was really cutting it. Now we have this data, and the next improvement we did was LED stop signs. She said she was able to look at the data just 3 days later and see the LED stop signs were working. We didn't have that before. We'd have to wait 6 months or a year to get the crash data in. Now we can say, okay, we did something and it works really well. Or maybe we do something and it doesn't work. We can see it and go back to and reverse it. So it's just really exciting that we can be a lot more responsive now. The traffic analysis and annual report is all part of Springfield's Safer Streets, an SGF initiative, which aims to reduce and eventually eliminate fatal and severe traffic crashes. Quinn said she is excited to get the report into the hands of the community and start some discussions. Asked about the issues with South Campbell Avenue, Quinn said it was not as surprising to learn it was such a hot spot for dangerous driving conditions. It's a major roadway that connects Springfield to all other communities like Nixa and Highlandville, but it also has a lot of retail on it. There just comes a point where we should not allow somebody to make a left turn across 3 lanes of busy roads to get a burger and fries for $8, endangering their own lives and everybody else's. Sometimes we need people to maybe go on another block, make a safe U-turn, and go back where they need to go. For pedestrians, we expect them to walk out of their way to signal. And yet, as a driver, when we're in a climate-controlled vehicle, we feel like we should be turning wherever we want and take a left, even if it endangers other people, she said. Drivers don't want to be inconvenienced by medians, even though they are on wheel versus a pedestrian who is to walk 400 feet out of their way and then another 400 to get back to where they're going. I'm not saying either one is right or wrong. I'm just saying we need to put things in perspective and make sure people are safe. Jackie Rewald is a reporter at the Springfield Daily Citizen. She covers public safety, the courts, homelessness, domestic violence, and other social issues. Her office line is 417-837-3659.
From the Springfield Business Journal, federal funding change could impact thousands in the state, homelessness advocacy group says. A recently announced plan from the Trump administration to shift homeless services funds away from permanent housing programs towards transitional housing is causing concern among local and national homeless advocacy organizations as legal wrangling continues. A federal district court decision on December 19th ruled the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development is at least temporarily barred from imposing new conditions for homelessness programs. According to media reports, U.S. District Judge Mary McElroy for Rhode Island granted a preliminary injunction to a group of states, cities, and nonprofits who said an overhaul of how to distribute about $3.9 billion in funding for continuums of care were unlawful. Continuums of care are the local agencies that coordinate services and funding for homeless individuals. HUD last month issued a notice of funding opportunities that had major changes that the National Alliance to End Homelessness said in an analysis could impact more than 170,000 people nationally, including 3,100 in Missouri. The Washington, D.C.-based organization is among plaintiffs in the lawsuit. According to the notice, no more than 30% of the funding for next year could be used for permanent housing programs. Currently, communities spend nearly 90% of continuums of care funding on permanent housing. Locally, the Ozarks Alliance to End Homelessness is the designated continuum of care for Greene, Christian, and Webster counties. Malia Spencer, CEO of The Kitchen, Inc., serves as vice chair of the executive committee for the Ozarks Alliance to End Homelessness. That's our primary federal resource that helps communities move from homelessness to stable housing, she said, of the local Continuum of Care program coordinated by the Community Partnership of the Ozarks. It is a community-wide approach, and our whole goal is to make sure that homelessness is rare, brief, and non-recurring. OAEH-funded programs provide housing and stabilization for people with disabilities, seniors, veterans, survivors of domestic violence, youth and families with children, according to Spencer. It provides nearly $1.5 million annually across critical housing and system coordination functions. However, she said, if HUD's proposed funding changes to reduce permanent housing to 30% were enacted, it would reduce that total the annual total to around $436,000, leaving more than $1 million at risk. Statewide, it could cut more than $32 million in funding, according to the NAEH. The majority of who that is going to affect is our chronically homeless, Spencer said. These are the folks that need the help the most. HUD has sought to significantly reduce funding for permanent housing and encourage more transitional housing that requires work and treatment for addiction or mental illness. In its notice of funding opportunity announcement issued last month, HUD said that roughly 90% of the Continuum of Care awards were funneled to support a housing-first ideology, which encourages dependence on endless government handouts while neglecting to address the root cause of homelessness, including illicit drugs and mental illness. Our philosophy for addressing the homelessness crisis will now define success not by dollars spent or housing units filled, but by how many people achieve long-term self-sufficiency and recovery, HUD Secretary Scott Turner said in a news release. Although HUD's plan changes are at least temporarily paused, Spencer said homelessness advocates need to stay vigilant as to changes to how federal funding is distributed for our Continuum of Care program remains in the crosshairs. She said OAEH has formed an advocacy committee looking to get the word out of the potential changes in the community. Aside from Spencer, the committee includes Emily Fessler with CPO, Missy Hayward with Guarantee Bank, Tim Knapp with Missouri State University, Tammy Shipp with Centerstone, and Alyssa Spradlin with Brentwood Christian Church. We know that HUD currently is focused on making these types of changes, and we need to be prepared as a community that these types of funding resources we've had since 2014 has a very high potential of not coming to us again, Spencer said. How are we going to ensure that those experiencing homelessness, especially those with mental health disorders, are somehow stably housed and not out on the streets?
This comes to us from KY3. On your side, company recalls dog biscuits sold in Missouri due to salmonella risks. Consumer Supply Distributing LLC of Sioux City, Iowa, is recalling some of its dog biscuits due to possible salmonella contamination. The company is recalling 4-pound bags of Country Vet biscuits, original meaty flavor, and 4 pounds bags of Heartland Harvest dog biscuits, meaty flavor with chicken. The dog treats were sold at retail stores in multiple states, including Missouri. According to the FDA, the products could be contaminated with salmonella. No illnesses have been reported. Consumers who purchase the affected products should return them for a refund. To learn about the products refunded, you can go, click here on the digital news from KY3. And that'll take us to the Springfield Daily Citizen. Queen City's Soul Kitchen closes doors after 5-year Springfield run. The restaurant closed its doors after dinner service on December 21st, said Francine Pratt, creative food director at the Springfield restaurant. Pratt said rising costs, including surging food prices, led the company to ultimately shutter. Queen City Soul Kitchen announced it has closed permanently after 5 years with an executive citing mounting food costs. The restaurant closed its doors after dinner service on December 21st, said Francine Pratt, creative food director at the Springfield restaurant. Pratt said rising costs, including surging food prices, led the company to ultimately shutter. Queen City Soul closed due to the rising food costs and not wanting to increase the prices any more than we already did, Pratt said. And with the small businesses, you're not able to buy as much as in bulk. Upon closure, the Soul Food Company was operating 2 locations, including the store at 1626 North Boonville Avenue and an operation inside Mercy Hospital's cafeteria. In its height, Queen City Soul ran 4 locations, including a location inside Nix's 14 Mill Market and one in Missouri State University's Plaster Student Union. At its height, Pratt said Queen City Soul had 22 part-time employees. Pratt was especially proud that the restaurant hired many people with disabilities and some people who were previously incarcerated. I would say the most exciting thing to know that we had a couple of people who worked for us who were previously incarcerated and used that as a stepping stone to buy their own car, to buy their own house, and to start mentoring back into the community, Pratt said. Queen City Soul started in 2020 as a... lost my place. Queen City Soul started in 2020 as a purely pop-up restaurant, with many days spent operating out of Big Mama's Kitchen on historic Commercial Street. Big Mama's owner, Lyle Foster, also owned Queen City Soul. The goal of Queen City was always to be an affordable option for Springfield, as well as providing one of the first outlets for soul food in the city, Pratt said. The menu sported Pratt's own recipes for specialties like East Coast-style macaroni and cheese and fresh collard greens seasoned with smoked turkey. Queen City was also known for melt-in-your-mouth meatloaf. We have accomplished what we set out to do, the company said in a Facebook post December 19th, announcing the closure. Our team has given the best to provide quality service and delicious, made-from-scratch cuisine using the recipes of Ms. Francine Pratt, who has prepared great food all over our nation. Jim Hershon soars again after 33 years, winning prestigious gas balloon race. This is from the Springfield Daily Citizen. Jim Hershon has flown planes, hot air balloons, and won the most prestigious gas balloon race in history. In 1992, Hershon and his co-pilot were the first Americans in 60 years to win the race. In September, he went to Europe to tackle it again. In 1962, when Jim Hershon was 7, hot air balloonist Don Picard was trying to sell a hot air balloon to Jim's dad at Silver Dollar City. It rained for 5 days straight when Picard was in town, so we finally decided to inflate the balloon inside Marvel Cave to test it. Jim caught a ride on the 3rd launch, and his passion for aviation began to take flight. Years later, Jim was flying planes and building water parks in Atlanta. He wanted to have a hot air balloon to attract customers. Everyone Jim contacted wanted to charge thousands of dollars. Jim decided he could buy one and learn how to fly it for less. So that is what happened, and I got hooked, Jim said. He didn't just learn to fly. In 1992, he won one of the most prestigious gas balloon races in the world, the Gordon Bennett Cup. And in September, Jim returned to compete again. Jim and his teammates spent 32 hours in a basket in the skies navigating the winds and soaring above France and Germany. They reached 16,000 feet in altitude. Some flights go fast. This one did not. The winds were light and the temperature dipped to 6 degrees at night. Flying, it has been said, is hours of boredom followed by sheer panic, Jim said. To come back to Earth when you've spent 30 hours on a bucking bronco is an experience. His wife of 22 years, Yenny, followed along on the ground chasing the balloon as she has done throughout their marriage. The difference between gas and hot air balloon races. Jim earned his pilot license when he was 19. His dad's uncle, also named Jim, was a pilot in World War II. Gas ballooning is one of the oldest forms of flying, he said. You can fly on hydrogen for days. There are distinct differences between gas and hot air balloon races. First, gas is powered by hydrogen or helium. The balloon is covered in bags of sand which are used in flight. Sand and water are your fuel, Jim said. To stay in the air, you have to throw off sand. There comes a point when you're out of sand and you will go down, like it or not. The goal in gas balloon race is to cover the longest distance. It requires extensive planning, supplies, and meteorological knowledge. Hot air balloon races are powered by liquid propane and are about accuracy and navigation. There is something magical about a gas balloon. Gas balloons are totally silent when you're up in the sky, he said. You can throw a scoop of sand and hear the sand hit the desert floor. Hear coyotes howl. See a shooting star. The Gordon Bennett is the world's oldest aeronautical competition. It dates back to 1906, when James Gordon Bennett, a publisher, organized a gas balloon race in France. People came from all over the world to compete. Whoever won, the winner's country would host the race the following year. The first 2 years were won by Americans, and in 1907, the race was held in St. Louis, Missouri. Then the Germans won, and the race went back to Europe. Jim has competed 4 times and won the race in 1992. It was the first time an American team had won in 60 years, and it brought the race to Albuquerque the following year in 1993. At that time, Jim's race partner was David Levin, who has since passed away. At the time of his death, Levin was the only balloonist to have won ballooning's 4 major events: the Gordon Bennett Cup, U.S. National Hot Air Balloon Championship, the World Gas Balloon Championship, and the World Hot Air Ballooning Championship. In 2025, Jim's partner was John Petterin, an accomplished balloonist whose family holds racing records. Petterin holds 2 World Championship titles and a Team USA win. They were Team USA 3 in the Gordon Bennett Cup. They were not part of the original plan. Team USA 3 dropped out of the race, and Petterin was asked if he wanted to take that spot. Petterin asked Jim if he wanted to go. After an hour of thought, Jim said yes. Neither of us had flown a gas balloon for 20 years, he said. This was about getting back to the balloon. Jim and Yenny and their pit crew had the balloon shipped to Germany for the race. Then they all flew there, picked up the balloon, and drove it to France. Their basket was made of traditional wicker, but other teams, including the winning team, used a lighter composite material. The balloons are weighed down with 50 sandbags that weigh exactly 10 kilos each. Yenny said they filled them, and if the bags were over even a few ounces, they had to take some out. Preparing for takeoff was long. The national anthem was played for every country that has competitors, and so it takes a while. There were 24 balloons at the race. After an 11 p.m. takeoff, Yenny and their crew went back to the hotel to get a few hours of sleep before chasing the balloon. Through the app, she monitored everything from the height of the balloon and the wind speed to how much distance Jim had covered. She would take screenshots from below, circle a dot in the sky, and text it to her husband, asking if that was his balloon. They were able to text the whole time. In the air, Jim and John had to take turns napping. I never thought I'd get the chance to be in it again, Jim said. It was fun. It was challenging. When I was younger, I didn't stiffen up as bad. Balloons have the right of way over planes, and the balloonists are in contact with air traffic control, who directs traffic around them. After traveling 375 kilometers, Team USA 3 landed in Nuremberg, Germany. The Herschens decided to spend more time in Europe and went to Paris for 5 days, visiting iconic sites like Notre Dame and the Eiffel Tower. Jim and Yenny met in Cuba in 1999 when he was there for a scuba diving trip and stayed in a hotel where she worked. Yenny, a Cuban native, pulled him out of the dance floor, and he jokes that when she discovered he didn't know how to dance. He was smitten, but Yenny was a single mom and not eager to leave Cuba. Her father was not keen on an American suitor either. In fact, on their second date, her father met Jim at the door with a knife and told him to beat it. Their romance endured as they carried on a long-distance relationship. Jim made humanitarian trips to Cuba with medical supplies. Mercy and Cox Health would donate using beds and other supplies. Jim would fix endoscopy machines, bringing in medicine or wheelchairs. Once they had enough to fill a shopping container, they would ship it to Canada and then send it to Cuba from there. Jim would fly down to make sure it was distributed properly. As Jim brought medical supplies to Cuba, he won her father over, and her dad began to help distribute medicine. Jim's parents and friends flew to Cuba to meet Yenny. Jim needed people who were willing to bring in medical supplies, and it took him 4 years to convince Yenny to move to the United States. She came on a fiancé visa, and they married March 3, 2003, hours before her visa expired. They settled in Ozarks. Their son Hansel is 31 and a chef in town. Early in his career, Jim flew companies like Bass Pro and Remax Realtors. He sold a balloon to Johnny Morris and flew that balloon all over the place as a form of advertisement because the company logos were plastered on the balloon. That was a fun company to work for. I went to fishing tournaments in Virginia and Florida, Jim said. Then he and Yenny started their own company in Ozark offering hot air balloon rides. Yenny would follow him so she could be there to help when he landed. It was very cool. I chase him in the hot air balloon all the time, said Yenny. They've since retired the business and gained a lot of pleasure from aviation over the years. It has been a lot of fun to have a job that puts smiles on faces. Juliana Goodwin is a freelance journalist with experience covering business, travel, tourism, health, food, and history. She is a former food and travel columnist for the Springfield News-Leader and former business reporter for the Joplin Globe, and has written for USA Today and Arkansas Living magazine.
From the Springfield News-Leader, actually originally posted on USA Today Network on Christmas Eve. See the median price for November home listings in Greene County. The median home in Greene County listed for $299,925 in November, down 4.5% from the previous month's $313,998, an analysis of data from Realtor.com shows. Compared to November 2024, the median home price slightly increased from $298,200. The statistics in this article only pertain to houses listed for sale in Greene County, not houses that were sold. Information on your local housing market along with other useful community data is available at data.news-leader.com. Greene County's median home was 1,800 square feet, listed at $168 per square foot. The price per square foot of homes for sale is up 1% from November of 2024. Listings in Greene County moved briskly at a median 54 days listed compared to the November national median of 64 days on the market. In the previous month, homes had a median of 50 days on the market. Around 392 homes were newly listed on the market in November, a 6.5% increase from the 368 new listings in November of 2024. The median home prices issued by Realtor.com may exclude many or even most of a market's homes. The price and volume represent only single-family homes, condominiums, or townhomes. They include existing homes, but exclude most new construction as well as pending and contingent sales. Across the Springfield metro area, median home prices rose to $330,125, slightly higher than a month earlier. The median home had 1,875 square feet at a list price of $169 per square foot. In Missouri, median home prices were $299,900, a slight decrease from October. The median Missouri home listed for sale had 1,728 square feet with a price of $170 per square foot. Throughout the United States, the median home price was $415,000, a slight decrease from the month previous. The median American home for sale was listed at 1,820 square feet with a price of $222 per square foot. The median home price list used in this report represents the midway point of all houses or units listed over the given period of time. Experts say the median offers more accurate view of what's happening in a market than the average list price, which would mean taking the sum of all listing prices then dividing the number of homes sold. The average can be skewed by one particularly low or high price. And sticking with some economic news, from the Springfield News-Leader, also posted the USA Today Network on Christmas Day. See how Midwest gas prices compare to last week. Regional gas prices declined for the second consecutive week and reached an average of $2.60 per gallon of regular fuel on Monday, down from last week's price of $2.69 per gallon, according to the U.S. Energy Information Administration. The average fuel price in the Midwest region declined about 25 cents since last month. According to the EIA, gas prices across the region in the last year have been as low as $2.60 on December 22nd and as high as $3.10 on April 7th of 2025. A year ago, the average gas price in the Midwest region was 12% higher at $2.94 per gallon. The average gas price in the United States last week was $2.84, making prices in the Midwest region about 8.3% lower than the nation's average. The average national gas price is lower than last week's average of $2.90 per gallon. The U.S. Energy Information Administration's tally of prices in the Midwest states includes Illinois, Indiana, Iowa, Kansas, Kentucky, Michigan, Minnesota, Missouri, Nebraska, North Dakota, Ohio, Oklahoma, South Dakota, Tennessee, and Wisconsin.
This is from the Springfield Business Journal. Council votes to seize Hotel of Terror property. Eminent domain measure would allow bridge work to move ahead. Springfield City Council unanimously voted to move ahead with its plans to seize the property that is in the site of the haunted attraction known as the Hotel of Terror in its meeting December 15th. The council measure did not name the 47-year-old business, instead of referring to it as the structure at 334 North Main Avenue. The legislation maintains that the city cannot repair the Main Avenue Bridge, rated poor by the Missouri Department of Transportation, and closed to heavy buses and certain emergency vehicles without damaging the building. MoDOT recommends replacing the bridge, the measure states. The structure at 334 North Main was constructed immediately adjacent to the Main Avenue Bridge, rendering any attempt to replace the Main Avenue Bridge without significant and materially damaging the adjacent structure infeasible, the council bill states. The bill states, and the city and the property owners, Sterling and Melissa Mathis, are at an impasse. Despite engaging in good faith negotiations, the city and owner have been unable to agree on fair market value for the property, it states. Sterling Mathis told Springfield Business Journal by phone the day after the meeting that he intends to collect signatures for a referendum to overturn council's actions, as he did once before in 2023, when council responded by appealing its legislation. Mathis has 30 days to acquire 1,499 signatures to get the item on the upcoming ballot under city charter. Mathis said he does not anticipate any problem getting onto the ballot or with the measure passing by the majority of voters. He is eager to express his side of the issue. When they started this up again, the city gave a 20-minute PowerPoint presentation on why they've got to take it, he said, referring to the first reading and public hearing on November 17th.
Thank you for listening to the Blind Community Thrift Store radio reading service. Tune in every week, Monday through Friday, on the Blind Community Thrift Store's YouTube channel at 10 a.m. for more up-to-date news from the Springfield News-Leader, Springfield Daily Citizen, Springfield Business Journal, and 417 Magazine. Listen after we are live on the Audio Reader Network at www.reader.ku.edu. All broadcasts are played over KSMU's subcarrier airwaves at 67 kilohertz on 91.1 from 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. Monday through Friday. Contact Audio Reader Network for information on receiving